Hey there, welcome back to Marketing Matchmaker. If you haven't been listening to this podcast series, I would suggest you go back and do that. So, just in case you don't know what I'm talking about, for the last couple of weeks, I have been doing live strategy calls with people in my network and people who have been referred to me that are struggling with their marketing. Really, this is designed to help this person today. It's Lindsay Recknell. I'm super excited to jump into her strategy and also to help you, the audience, really get an idea of this might be a struggle you're having and what ideas can you get from our conversation to help you implement and move forward for the next 6 to 12 months in your business. So, as I said, I have Lindsay Recknell on the show today, and I am super excited to talk to you, Lindsay. I'm going to start by letting you introduce yourself to the audience, tell them who you are, what you do, who you serve, and then we'll jump into your marketing.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. Like I said before we hit record, I'm so excited for this conversation. I just think you're going to change my world and it's going to be so good. So I am Lindsay Recknell. I call myself a mental health skills trainer, which, is a made up title, but it's all about teaching HR professionals and leaders how to navigate mental health at work. I really think that there's been a gap in our education as managers where we have expectation and truly a desire to want to support our people, to have conversations about mental health at work, to know what to say when people say, yeah, I'm not feeling myself today. I am not fine. And sometimes we just won't engage in those conversations because it's awkward and weird and hard. And so I'm trying to fill that gap by teaching leaders how to navigate all the legal and moral and ethical considerations that they need to make in the workplace.
Awesome. So, your business model, are you looking for more clients that are out in the world, like they're business owners, or are you looking to be more in like corporations, or you kind of split the difference?
Yeah. So I have two main products, and the one that I want to talk with you about today is the one that I'm focused on for this year, and it is my certificate program, my mental health skills training certificate program. So I have open enrollment sessions for this program where folks will just register. Anybody who is a leader, an HR professional, or really anybody who even leads without a title, right, just wants to know more about how to navigate these things. And they will just enroll by themselves. So we've got 20 people in a cohort, max 20 people, and they are individuals from all sorts of organizations that will come and do the training. And then also I have what I called my closed cohort sessions, where an organization will throw, 20 of their leaders in a room and we'll train them all up, but they're all from the same company. So it's more custom to that organization. And, it's all people from that organization in the room. So a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B.
Which I think is fabulous. So today we're kind of focusing on column A, which is really looking at those leaders. Tell me about their pain points. Like, what are they struggling with? Tell me about the ideal person that's going to step into this.
Yeah, so these are people who get it. They are not into mental health at work as a checkbox activity. They understand how important it is. And in fact, they probably have experienced some sort of negative interaction in the workplace when it comes to their own mental health. They desire to help people, but really just literally don't know how. Like sometimes don't know the words to use to have these conversations and sometimes don't know kind of the legalities and how to navigate within, the have to do's, the can't do's, there's a hurting person in front of me, I want to do's, and then throw, an organizational, their policies and procedures on top of it. Like we are not experts in the law, the human resources law, right? But we find ourselves in these situations where we want to help, and it feels uncomfortable, and we just don't feel confident in doing it. And so the fine folks that join me are those who get it, want to engage, and just don't feel confident doing it, and want those skills.
So when we're talking about leaders, are we talking more about like entrepreneurs that have maybe a brick and mortar and like a staff? Are we talking about people that may be in corporate, but they're looking for some help?
So yes, because really, if you think about it from an individual perspective, we're running into situations, even in our personal lives, where we don't know how to navigate conversations. And so, I've had folks come through who are in heavy union environments and are struggling with management versus a union member. I have people who are entrepreneurs that are supporting other entrepreneurs, just like in networking groups or masterminding groups, hearing from other entrepreneurs and literally not knowing how to respond to them when those entrepreneurs say, I am totally burnt out and overwhelmed and I don't even know where to go here. And so I've got entrepreneurs that want to support their colleague, their friend, but don't know how to do that either. And then I've got HR, like leaders of HR teams who want to have all of their HR people to feel comfortable and spread that knowledge into the rest of the business. Because, if you think about some of the corporate organizations or not even corporate, but just big business, there's a kind of a shift in the responsibility and accountability of the mental health portfolio, so to speak. And so often managers will say to their employees that are struggling, go talk to HR. Whereas HR is saying, I want you, manager, who has a relationship with this person, to know how to have some of these conversations and know when you need to escalate to HR. But there's no need for every single conversation about mental health that an employee wants to have, that it has to be had with HR. That connection, that relationship building can happen with the manager. And so often HR people will come to my class and they will then go back to their business and teach their business how to have these conversations and when to escalate.
Nice. Okay. So tell me how you've been marketing this program.
So far, my best strategy has been to connect with associations, like professional associations, HR associations. Because the program qualifies for continuing education credit, it's been certified by some HR organizations as the CEU is required for folks to maintain their designation. It would also, if an accounting organization, like if CPA or one of the accounting organizations or designating organizations wanted to evaluate, it would qualify for CEUs for accountants and engineers and lawyers and all that kind of thing. So partnering with associations has been really good because they've got the members, I've got the program. Nothing like this exists out there or seems to exist out there in this form, as far as HR organizations have been able to share, and I feel like they would know. So those partnerships have been good, but they're expensive because they do all the work to market. I just bring the content and deliver, but then they take a bulk of the revenue. And so, and finding those and engaging those, building those relationships is also it's super long.
Time consuming. Right.
I have one HR organization, in the US that has tons of promise. And in their case, though, they're providing the members, but I'm going to do the sales and marketing. And so that's more work on me, but awesome if I can get a strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'd like to build more of those, maybe not have to have a partnership with an organization, but be able to leverage like a tag on LinkedIn for everybody who's a SHRM member, as an example, which is the big organization in the US. So those kinds of things is what I'd like to engage in. But right now it's been those partnerships and then just word of mouth networking. People who have taken the program tell their friends and they love it and then they come in. So it's been organic that way.
So when you're doing this push into some of these associations and they're doing your marketing, what does that look like? What type of marketing are they doing for you?
So I don't see, so I know they do email marketing. I don't see those because I'm not on their distribution list, but I do see their LinkedIn marketing as well. They have pretty active like website to themselves where their members know to go on their website to get continuing education, and my program is listed as one of the
So
programs.
it's basically a direct to buy, right? Like, here's a program for you. You can go take it or not.
Totally. Yeah. And they handle the admin and online purchasing and all that.
Okay. So I think this is actually going to be a whole lot easier than you might have thought.
Oh, tell me more.
So here's the thing. You're already training these people, right? Like, you're already giving them. So let's talk about doing a masterclass or a webinar or whatever you want to call a free mini training, because then you launch that mini training into, you're still training the people, but you're launching it into those associations, like the one that you're working with in the US, where you have to do the marketing.
Yeah.
If we can create a masterclass for them where you're teaching them the why they need to know this program, the what, as in what are the things that they need to know about. You're not teaching them the full program. You're simply giving them like a capstone, an overview of the program itself. You're teaching the why and the what, and then you're then selling from the stage is basically what we call it, where they can then step into your training program. That will really allow you to be able to use that everywhere. Like, not only can you launch it into those groups, but you can do it on LinkedIn and tag all the members of all of these different organizations, and that kind of thing, because it's, again, a training program that will help them move their careers forward, right?
So like, do I have to pitch the association, hey, I'll do this free webinar for your members?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, as long as the webinar provides value to their membership, they're going to be totally okay with doing. And it's also allows you to then pitch from the stage. So you actually have a captive audience, rather than assuming that people are opening their emails from the other associations and seeing your program and taking it. That puts a lot of assumptions on what's actually happening. If people are actually coming into your network, into your area, by registering for your program, for your free program, they can then you can continue to market to them afterwards, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm getting held up in my head, though, is if I offer one of the SHRM councils a free webinar, they're going to want to manage the relationship with their members. So they're going to want to do the registration for that webinar, as an example. And I mean, the membership strategy or the association strategy has been really good, but it's also quite expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, could I do the webinar method and not?
Yes, you can just do it on LinkedIn. You create a LinkedIn event for this webinar, and then you tag or invite every member of whatever organization it is you want to. We just get to dial in the messaging of the webinar, the platform, what you're going to teach within it, and really make that juicy for them. And then you invite everybody that you can through outside of the organization itself. And that way they're not in control of that, because that's what what we need is to get these people into your sphere of influence.
Are free webinars as kind of lead generation still working still working? One, that's question A. And also question B, working for high cost programs? Because this program is about $2,000.
I have clients that are selling everything from $1,500 to, I have one client, I was just talking to her today. She has like a $10,000 program that she still sells.
Webinars are still working.
Yes, webinars are still working. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you, I've told my audience this before. We don't call them webinars anymore. Nobody wants to go to a webinar. Yeah. We call them master classes. We call them trainings. It all boils down to the same thing. Yeah. Right. Now, I will say, webinars used to be very big just pitch fests, right? You got on there, you were just selling to people. That's what they did. They gave a lot of testimonials, and that's pretty much all they did. They didn't actually train them on anything. Nowadays, people know that. And so it has to be juicy content. Like, it has to be things that they don't know. And we want to make sure that they're directly related to your program, your certificate program on the opposite end. So a lot of it is why people are struggling with this idea of mental health in the workplace. What is it that you can do to help people? So you're just giving them like a high level view of what's going to be in your certificate program.
Yeah. Okay. So then the structure of the webinar, the masterclass, is the why and the how.
The why and the what. We don't teach how. So in education theory, right, there's why, what, how, what if. It's called the format system. We teach in webinars, masterclasses, whatever, trainings, unless they're paying us, we teach them the why, we teach them the what. We can teach them the what if, like, what if you don't step into this? This is what your life could look like. We don't teach the how. The how is what people pay for.
Right. Got it. Yes. Okay. So when I'm teaching the why and the what and the what if, where do I talk about the program, or do I just talk about the whole way through?
So you seed it, right? So when you start, so the basic flow of a webinar, you introduce yourself, then you talk about where your audience is right now. Like, what are they struggling with? What are their pain points? Like, they're here for these reasons, so that you can kind of get them into that mindset of, yes, she understands what I'm here for. Then you move into the training portion of things, which again is it's just educating them on what it is they're needing to learn. The last about 10 or 15 minutes is where you transition into the what if to the sales process, right? Like, all of that, you can take all of this information. I like to do it like, when I do mine, this is kind of my pitch at the end. You can take all this information I gave you, and you can go away and do the same thing you've been doing and get the same results you've been getting. Totally. Right? Or here's your secondary option, and then you start showing them what can happen if they choose your program instead.
Okay, that's brilliant. And these master classes are like an hour, 45 to an hour?
45 minutes to an hour. I wouldn't go more than an hour. If you can keep it to 30 to 45 minutes, that's ideal. It all just depends on the amount of content. Like, if you're giving them a lot of valuable, juicy content, they're going to be there for the whole time. If you're, and most of these people are working, so keeping it shorter than an hour is going to get them in and out the door.
Yeah. And then if anybody has questions and they want to stay on.
Awesome. Exactly. You can have them on questions for, you can do Q&A for as long as you want to do Q&A.
Yeah. I like it. And LinkedIn events is a thing.
LinkedIn events is a thing. It's a very easy thing to do and to set up and get out. I believe LinkedIn events also will connect to people's calendars and to your CRM. Like, you can connect your CRM in that, if I'm remembering correctly. If not, you can give them a page to like your Zoom room. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to have landing pages and all of that. That's great if you do, but if that's not in your area of expertise, just creating a Zoom kind of where they can sign up, perfectly fine.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Okay, I can do this.
You can do this. You can absolutely do this. Now, what I will also say is, at the end of the webinar, for those people that don't sign up for your program, or if you're getting on a sales call with them or whatever that might be, because I don't know how, since there's about 20 people in the cohorts, I don't know how controlled you keep it. Like, if you want to vet them before so a sales call might be within that. But for those people that don't, then you set up an email sequence that follows up, that educates them some more, keeps them engaged with you, and then really shows them why that this is important, right? Some testimonials, some stories, case studies, those kind of things that can really help them understand why this is important to have.
And do I do these master classes on the regular? Like, is that a good strategy to?
So, yeah, I usually suggest if you're going to do a live masterclass, like 4 to 6 weeks, every 4 to 6 weeks is reasonable. If that works within your schedule. The ideal situation is that you get to the point where you have a masterclass that's just dialed in to the point where people are just buying, and then you turn that into an evergreen for a little while. I will tell you, masterclasses have to be refreshed periodically because things change, information change, right? So you can't really set an evergreen. I know people think that you can put up an evergreen thing and leave it for 6 years, and 6 years ago that might have worked. It doesn't anymore. Right? So that's yeah.
Talking about mental health changes like by
Right?
the minute, and
Not to mention laws and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's like me trying to run a Facebook ads, program, or I have to constantly update it because back end changes on a daily.
totally. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So every 46 weeks, which feels right also.
Yeah, especially if you're looking to have your programs be about, I think you said they were like 8 weeks long. Is that what you said at the beginning?
No, they're so it's 21 hours of instruction, and I typically do them like a Tuesday, Thursday morning or afternoon, Tuesday, Thursday half day for 3 weeks in a row.
Okay, for 3 weeks. So yeah, so if you do it every 6 weeks, that keeps eventually you will have every 4 or 6 weeks, you will eventually have one after another just starting.
Yeah, which is what I want.
So, yeah.
That would be brilliant. Excellent. Okay, super helpful. Super helpful.
Good. I'm glad.
Okay, what do I do? When do I do it? How do I start? I want to start now.
The first thing you do is figure out what the topic's going to be, right? Like it's obviously you need it to be directly related to your program, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is that in some way it has to be directly related to your program. So you start there, and then we start with like the messaging. What is it that you're going to tell people, to invite them to, that kind of thing. And then your email sequence.
What's a good method of invitation? Because you create a LinkedIn event, whatever, and then you can invite people to the event.
Yep.
Well, if I'm going to do one every 46 weeks, I'm not going to invite the same group of people. So how do I keep that kind of refreshed and going?
So a couple of things. One, definitely invite the same group of people. Not all of them are going to show up for the first one or the second one, or maybe even the 10th one. It may take them. They just may take a while to get there. Now, if you see people on there that have attended, you can skip them, but the rest of keep inviting them until they actually come. It may be a timing thing. It may just not be on their radar yet, whatever that reason is, but definitely keep inviting everybody until they come. The other way that you can find people, go into LinkedIn and start searching for people in the HR kind of sphere, making connections in that respect, or business owners or whatever. If you have LinkedIn Navigator, you can do a deeper dive. Yeah, you can do a deeper dive into that, and then just message them through LinkedIn Navigator. That's the nice thing about having LinkedIn Navigator, is that you can cold message people, and you're just inviting them to a training, right? Like, you're not asking them for anything. It's a very simple message of, hey, I know people in your space are often struggling with this. I have this new training. It's, coming up on this date. I'd love for you to attend.
Okay. I like it. I like the language. It feels nice.
Yeah. It's really, I think people make these things a lot harder than they have to be. Especially if you're already training people and you already have that in your wheelhouse. These type of master classes are going to be super simple for you. It's just getting into the rhythm.
Yeah, you're right. Because even your first question there about, or first step on, I need to decide what I need to train on. I mean, that's dead simple. Like I know exactly
Good.
what I know exactly what the biggest pieces that folks get out of my certificate program over the 6 modules, what the things that light them up, and then what's the like, okay, I need to know this, but it's not gonna, it's gonna, but what's personally impactful to them in the program, I know what that is. And so yeah, that part will be easy, and making it into a 20-minute like quick bite will be that part. Yeah.
Now, I will say one of the things that people often, especially when they first start doing webinars, that they miss is answering objections. So if you have had objections to joining your program, go through them. Yep. Figure out what those objections are and how can you answer them within the training themselves. So you don't necessarily have to call out the objection, but if it's, if you know that price is an objection, you definitely want to highlight the CEU portion of things, right? Where they know that that this is deductible and it's part of their training and they get, their certifications renewed and all of that kind of stuff. If time is an objective, explaining the short period of time, just making sure that you answer whatever objections you've gotten in the past within that training is going to be important.
Awesome. Okay, got it. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Good. I'm glad. What else you got?
As far as like nurturing the audience. So as an example, sure. They're an awesome example. They've got 350,000 members in the US. They're the biggest HR organization. I podcasted from their conference last year, their national conference. I love what they do. And I've connected with a lot of their state councils.
Yeah.
But on LinkedIn, as an example, so I've been connecting with them through Navigator, doing some searches and things like that through Navigator. But is there a way to not go big, like super broad, but not go super narrow where there's an individual connection every time? Like, I don't know, is there ads I run that is targeted to SHRM members? Is there what is?
Yeah. So there are definitely, if you want to look at running ads, that is definitely a possibility.
It would work for what I'm talking about?
It can be. It absolutely can be. I mean, I always say LinkedIn is this big blue ocean. There are so many people not using it that it definitely can be a fantastic platform to use their ads. Their ads are younger. They're not quite as dialed in as far as I always say Facebook can go for your shoe size, so can Google, but LinkedIn is not quite there yet. And as long as you know how to set them up properly in the back end, you can definitely run ads to your event, targeting those people that are in human resources, whether it's the SHRM organization or just human resources title in general. There's also ways in Navigator to pull lists from Navigator that you can then also use in LinkedIn to run ads directly to those people. So you're not individually messaging them, like they're getting your ad in Messenger. You can still do it in Messenger, but they're getting it directly from the ad. So it's not a manual process kind of thing.
And you know how to do all of this?
Yes, ma'am.
LinkedIn is my place. It is the place where my people are hanging out. Even if they're posting, I know they're creeping there because it is a networking tool, right? But I've never found anyone who is a specialist or is even skilled at all in LinkedIn ads and advertising and all of that. So brilliant.
Yes. So we specialize in LinkedIn ads, Facebook/Instagram, and YouTube. So those are the 3 ad platforms that we specialize in. I love LinkedIn ads. I love LinkedIn ads for people like you that are looking for specific. Most people that are in corporate have their job title on there properly. A lot of people that are not in corporate, that are entrepreneurs, have funky job titles. They don't necessarily, it's hard to target a job title. And that's where LinkedIn Messenger or LinkedIn ads is really great at, is targeting job titles or groups or things like that. They don't so much have interest yet.
Yeah.
Feeding them information. So for those people out there that are, let's say they're a coach and they have this huge list, we can feed it to LinkedIn, and then LinkedIn can create lookalike audiences. So that's always great as well. But there is a way to pull the audience from Navigator into ads and run it to those people. So yeah, there's lots of things you can do.
Very exciting and very like tons of potential, because something I didn't mention is often the company will pay for the program, right? You know, they've got whatever, $2,500 a person in their training budget to go to a conference or a training program or something. And so most often organizations are paying. And so targeting those folks who are working in an organization is super helpful. Whereas an entrepreneur, they are perfectly happy to pay for it, but they typically pay for it out of their own pocket. Whereas
exactly, it's still deductible for them. However, when the organization pays, it makes it so much easier to invest.
Totally.
It's not coming out of your pocket. It's so much easier. So yeah, I mean, there are definitely ways that we can start doing ads and that kind of thing to help drive traffic to your group program or your training. So yeah.
Do you know how far in advance I can schedule events? So could I just pre-schedule every 6 weeks?
You can actually. I have I'm part of a networking organization. They schedule out their whole year.
Okay, that's brilliant. Because what I have a hard time finding the time to do the thing. So if I can batch it, that would be sweet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would suggest if you have more than one training, I would suggest alternating them so that you capture more of the people that maybe training A didn't connect with them, but training B does. And that way you're just connecting with a few more. So it doesn't look like you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Totally. Yeah. That's good. So I think I like that strategy a lot. I like creating those master classes and setting them out so people know that they're happening every 6 weeks or whatever, alternating the topics so that, but then doing some ads that will drive traffic there. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yep.
Okay.
I think that's the way to go to really scale. It'll just broaden your network so much because, like you said at the beginning, these organizations are fabulous and they've been a great resource for you, but they're a long process. This takes them out of the middle, but still targets the same people. Yes,
and it doesn't cost me as much. The cost of acquisition is not so high.
Yeah, I have no idea what the cost of acquisition for the associations are, but I can guarantee there probably are not.
Yeah, in some cases they're taking 60% of the revenue, and
yeah, that is high. And on the other side of that, it also brings all of these people into your sphere of influence. Right. So if you're growing your email list, even if they're not ready to buy immediately, they may be ready and at the next one or whatever, which is something with these organizations you don't have, right? You don't have these people then where you can continue to market to them.
Totally. So, are you going to put together a strategy document proposal for me, or what's happening?
I can definitely do that. That was not the point of this whole podcast. And yes, this is something we can do.
Please, I can do the LinkedIn piece, but I need you to help me draw the people in and then help me with the funnel on the back end once they're all into my system. So if you could draw that up.
I can certainly do
for me, that.
I love that. That is so funny. So yes, I will get that over to you probably tomorrow because we're already
I'm in Colorado until Friday. So
awesome. Okay, so let's wrap up. I'm gonna wrap up the podcast.
Okay, great.
For those of you out there that are interested in doing something like this, interested in a strategy session, head over to yourmarketingmatchmaker.com and fill out an application, and we can go through a similar process, and maybe you'll be lucky enough to change your world like I just changed Lily's.
Yeah, baby.
Thank you so much for playing with me today.
I so appreciate you. This has been so great.
That's awesome. All right, my friends, I will see you on next week's episode. Thank you for listening to the Marketing Matchmaker podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love to hear your feedback. Please head over to Apple, iTunes, and leave a review so we can hear from you. And if you are a coach, consultant, or online course creator who are looking to grow your business, increase your income, and scale your impact, connect with me at yourmarketingmatchmaker.com. I look forward to hearing from you.